Hey everyone, I was watching the court today with George. I was waiting to see what the investigators from yesterday, the lady talked about the gun since George Zimmerman said trayvon try and grab the gun. And then today the evidence showing that there was no DNA on that gun showing that Trayvon Martin never came close to the gun. And like yesterday, the lady says there was no signs of fingerprints of Trayvon touching the gun. So George is kind of in the bind right now because the evidence is showing that it's been George all along of the gun, George's hand on the holster, and he's got a problem with that theory. Where did he think Trayvon Martin touched the gun or going after the gun? But it all goes back to George of he's the one, the only one, has the fingerprints on the gun, fingerprints on the bullet. No DNA of Trayvon Martin on the gun, just George. Then listen to the statements from three different people who school, his professor and the lieutenant, how he was trying to be a wannabe police person. Now, he started doing this back in 2009, so he was pretty much, he knew the law. And the lying to police saying he didn't know nothing about standing your law ground, but he did. His teacher told him, yeah, this is what the stand your ground law is in the meeting. So George knows, he knew what to do at that scene. So he's kind of making how to protect himself in mind. So that's, if somebody like that, if he became a police officer, he'd be a crooked police officer. He would be a really crooked police officer. He would get away with it. It doesn't show much blood on George except for the right sleeve. The only time he would have that type of blood, George would have somehow leaned against Trayvon Martin's shot area. I saw where the blood was, but still, it should have been a little more blood than that. So, it's the question is about how George is playing dumb. He knows how to act dumb to avoid the right questions. Since he's been trained in class showing how to avoid questions, to play dumb, not really telling, then go on these in police squads so he can learn what it is. You don't go on police cruisers to go around town with a police officer unless you are in the class graduating. But since he didn't graduate, he had credit problems, but it's showing that O'Mara and West repeating the same questions. They can't get moved on. And like today at the beginning, that the judge told them about their did their homework, give them a half hour, give a whole night to them, and they still want to play horse playing around. And the judge already told these juries that it's going to go fast, go on, and their horse playing around, wasting time of come up with their witnesses, answering so people can answer their questions behind the scenes before they put them on stand. But I agree with the judge because they're horse playing around. The judge wants this done, not pulling some Jody Aries lawyers. Let's extend it because they already told them that 4 weeks or 4.5 weeks, it could be that. But they're pulling it up. They knew all the evidence. They had a whole year to get all these evidence, whole year to get these witnesses sorted out before the court. And they're not getting it. Then comes to the blood splatters on the George Zimmerman's jacket and Trayvon Martin. The guy's real good. I like that guy who did really good answering the right questions. I did see him. He's like looking at the prosecutor. He's like, "Is this gonna be over with? Like, come on! I'm getting tired of listening to these idiots." I don't blame them. They just don't know when to stop asking same 20 questions, the same question each time. It's like a freaking robot. It's got a bad battery in it and just keeps on repeating itself. They just don't understand. They're like playing around. But especially on everyone's shirt and hoodie, they kept on playing around and trying to see if this guy knows more than what he's saying, but he is just a tech who was handed the evidence to him and say, "Here, see what you come up with." They already processed it. Other places, it was down to the final stage. Here, see what you get, see what you found. So that's another thing they were getting technical on. It's like, look, you see bullet holes, you see holes where blood was splatter, especially when George Zimmerman, like the lady said, that he only hit the sidewalk once. If he hit 20 times, that his head would have been how he's like showing he's slamming his head down hard. It'd be like 20 times his skull would have been cracked and stuff. It would crack like an egg. That many times it was slamming down. But she's right. It would be a bigger bruise, larger cuts on his head and his nose. That Trayvon Martin wasn't really hitting him that hard. If it was, his nose would be twice much bleeding than anything else. If it was hitting more than his nose. So evidence is getting interesting, and hopefully the prosecutor gets to their witnesses over with, and the judge, like the judge said, they want to get the state witnesses done and over with before Friday. But since defense team here is horse playing around and making excuses, but they knew the whole entire year, and the state knew that they're going to try to pull stunts when it gets closer and closer to this week of putting more important people on the stand. But see what kind of people they would put, defense people put on on the stand while turning the tides against them. Mark O'Mara is just, between Mark O'Mara and West, it's just a recording. I'm getting tired of them saying and trying to say the same questions or differently and pulling stunts like a rabbit out of the hat. Oh, let's try this. See if I can get this dude. Then he asked the police officer, well, you're supposed to answer all these questions, right? Yeah, find out what's the real answer to the question. Plain stupid, aren't you? You're doing the same thing you're doing in court, okay, Mark O'Mara and Donna West? It's just ridiculous. So let's see what happens on Friday. Hope it gets a bit better than this, and hope the state will turn the tides on Friday after the defense puts their witnesses up and stuff. Talk to you later. Bye now.